at my first real job after college. She was the receptionist in the main lobby, and we eventually started dating. After we'd been together for a few years, though, her true colors began to show. She started displaying manipulative, violent, and, above all, severely mentally ill tendencies. I had to leave. I had no choice. Fast forward a few more years, post the nightmare of the initial split, and I was still being stalked and harassed by Jordy, banging on my door at least once a week, multiple calls every night, and no matter how many times I blocked her, she kept making new accounts. But I eventually managed to get back on my feet elsewhere. And even better, I met someone else. Mirian. She was the complete opposite of Jordy in every way. Caring, reasonable, living a healthy lifestyle, and already the mother of 2 amazing children. Still, Jordy was of course furious I had gotten together with someone else. She started calling Mirian every night just to say the most horrible insults, among many, many other things. See, Jordy went as far as to follow Mirian's kids around. She even tried to pick them up from school one day, which is basically attempted kidnapping. There was also a strong possibility she tried to break into Mirian's house, too. With those offenses, it was easy to file a hefty restraining order. At last I could breathe. I felt safe being alone again, as well as leaving Mirian at home while I worked. Things slowly went back to a sense of normal for me for the first time in almost a decade. If only it could have stayed that way. One day, I got a video call from Mirian while I was at work, sometime in the afternoon. She had just got home from picking up the kids from school, finding a surprise package at the door. It turned out to be a gift addressed to her, a basket full of fancy chocolate Easter eggs. It didn't say who it came from, but Easter was just around the corner, so we figured it might have been from the church down the street, or perhaps an old friend of Mirian's. I told the kids they were from me, playing it off as a freebie, just one less gift I needed to get them for Easter. They were so thrilled.
Look! It's decorated with gold!
I see, wow. How much you think that's worth?
I don't know. Probably $1,000?
1,000, really? That's awesome. How many did you get?
1, 2, 3, 12.
Wow, that's a dozen. You got a dozen $1,000 Easter eggs.
Wow, a dozen thousands.
You've really outdone yourself.
Well, you know, I try.
Seriously though, you better get home soon. There's not enough of these crazy creatures running around yet. I need you to help me make a 3rd or 4th.
You don't have to tell me twice. During the call, I was occupied with the moment, just feeling the joy of something pleasant happening for once. As soon as I hung up, though, my old sense of paranoia came back. A random gift from a stranger. That can't be good, can it? But I pushed it down, not wanting to ruin my good mood. I left work a few minutes early, rushing home to my new family, refusing to think about the past. At home, I opened the door, expecting to hear the sounds of 2 kids mid-sugar rush and their mother trying to rein them in. Instead, the house was silent, dead quiet. I thought maybe they had fallen asleep, so I stayed quiet, putting my things away and taking off my shoes before tiptoeing into the living room. That's where I found them. They were all on the floor, just lying there crookedly. But Mirian, she was seizing. Her body was shaking violently. I ran to her, trying to stop it. She was uncontrollable. She was bleeding from her eyes, her mouth, nose, everywhere. The kids were the same, but the blood was drying up. And their eyes were lifeless. I thought I was going to be sick. I focused on the only thing I knew I could do, getting to a phone and calling for help. Mirian stopped shaking before the paramedics arrived, becoming completely unresponsive. Days later, she pulled through. I wish I could say the same for the children. Soon, while still grappling with the destruction of my entire world, I learned who was responsible. Jordy. Right as I thought I was finally moving on from her, she came back into my life just to wreck it. Those Easter eggs were from her. She loaded them all with poison, deliberately trying to kill my girlfriend and her family out of revenge. Can't believe I didn't see it coming. I thought the curse had been lifted, but I was just passing it. This Easter story was inspired by a horrific incident regarding a 35-year-old woman named Jordalia Pereira Barbosa, who was arrested in Brazil on suspicion of murder, after officials claimed she spiked the chocolate Easter eggs in an act motivated by revenge and jealousy. The eggs were delivered to her ex-boyfriend's new partner, Mirian Lyra, who shared them out with her kids. Mirian's son reportedly fell ill immediately after eating the chocolate, prompting his mom to rush them to the hospital. Tragically, the boy could not be saved. Mirian and her daughter Evelyn also became sick and were rushed to hospital and miraculously survived. After the delivery, Mirian reportedly received an anonymous call asking if the package had arrived. Samples of the chocolate have been sent off for forensic analysis to confirm whether it was toxic. Cops arrested Jordalia as she took a bus to her hometown after staying in a hotel 200 miles away where the victim's family lives. Police reportedly found receipts and spoke to Jordalia's ex-partner, which led them to believe she could be involved. Cops also shared CCTV footage showing Jordalia buying Easter eggs while disguised in a black wig and dark sunglasses. Jordalia reportedly confessed to buying the chocolate, but denied loading it with poison.
After tough days at work, what helps me unwind most is a nice, fun evening of jellyfishing in Jellyfish Fields. Today was one of those days, for sure. I barely escaped with my job, and it was all the fault of a single customer. He wanted a double, triple, bossy deluxe, one raft, 4x4 animal style, extra shingles with a shimmy and a squeeze, light axle grease, make it cry, burn it, and let it swim. Who orders like that? Sad, pathetic losers. That's who. Poor Squidward didn't have a clue what the jerk was talking about. Oh, and I had to make the order like 10 times. What was that guy's name? Bubble Bass? He kept saying I forgot the pickles, aka the extra shingles. Maybe I could have genuinely forgotten them the first time, but everyone could tell he was trying to mess with us by complaint number 3. I'm a sponge, not a starfish. I wouldn't make the same mistake twice. After hours of fighting with him back and forth, I finally caught a glimpse that blew his secret wide open. I saw a flash of green under his blabbering tongue while he was berating me for being unable to do my job. So, I yanked the tongue out of his mouth and revealed all the pickles he had stashed underneath it. He was humiliated after that and left without paying, earning himself a lifetime ban from the Krusty Krab. But as I was trying to relax in Jellyfish Fields, something caught my eye. A bus, a rare sight on the outskirts of town. I watched it passing by absent-mindedly, still more focused on the jellyfish, until it stopped and I saw who got out. Bubble Bass. Immediately, I ducked behind the nearest outcrop of rocks. Luckily, he didn't see me, but oh, I could see him. I gave up jellyfishing for the night. I had better plans. Follow this pickle pincher and see where he went. Eventually, a good distance from the nearest road, he stopped moving and entered what I assumed to be his house. It was barely more than an abandoned shack about to topple over, but it was fitting for a dirtbag like him. For now, I knew where he stayed, and that was enough. I went back home, gathered some supplies, and put together a plan. Under the cover of darkness, I returned, gloved up and masked up. I broke into his flimsy, filthy house to see what else he was hiding under that flabby tongue of his, and discover a way to truly get back at him. The first thing I saw was his insane collection of pickles. He had jars stacked up to the ceiling. Clearly, this freak was obsessed. Through a bit of searching, I found Bubble Bass asleep, buried under a mountain of loose, wet pickles. The sight of him startled me so badly I tripped over an empty jar. It caused him to start waking up, but I thought on my feet, reached for my club, and smacked him over the head. That sent him right back to sleep. With Bubble Bass out cold, I was able to pry open his jaw and pull his tongue out, lifting it higher than I could earlier. At first, all I saw was a layer of rotting pickles, but behind that, a row of gold coins, value unknown. Then his collection of keepsakes. It was mostly pictures, exclusively of all the other fry cooks around town. They were crying, canned from their jobs and doomed to destitution, all thanks to Bubble Bass. He enjoyed destroying honest fry cooks. And then there was a picture of me. I had bested him, but he managed to snap a picture while I wasn't looking, intently focused on getting his order correct. I wish I had never worked so hard to please him. Either way, there were even more disturbing things hidden behind the pictures. Teeth, not his, but loose teeth, belonging to other people. as well as their severed fins and fingernails, even an eyeball staring dead at me. I nearly threw up into his mouth, but then I saw something that looked important. Stashed among his sickening trophies was a key. The word basement was engraved on it. I looked down the hall and saw a door with a lock on it. That had to be the one. With great care, I reached into Bubble Bass's mouth, parted the congealed mass of organic souvenirs, and retrieved the key. I made my way to the locked door, slowly inserted the key, then turned it. The door opened, revealing a dark den that reeked of decay. I shouldn't have turned on the light, but it was full of dead bodies. The bottom layer was all skeletons, thousands of fish bones stacked on top of each other. The middle was a putrid, liquefied layer of rot, and sitting on top of them were fresh corpses. They were the same fry cooks that Bubble Bass had pictures of. He didn't just get them fired, he wrecked their lives and then ended them. I should have known I was next.
Did you forget my pickles?
But Bubble Bass? I'm sorry, I know I shouldn't have come here. I'll leave. I won't tell anyone, I swear.
Don't worry, Sponge. I'll show you where the pickles are.
It all started on Easter. After church, I went to my warehouse job. My shift ended at around 10 p.m. It was completely dark by then, but I still didn't want to ask any of the guys for a ride. I would rather get home by myself. Luckily, the first leg of the trip is easy. There's a bus stop right outside the warehouse, so I waited there. While I was standing around, something caught my eye. Something flashy, lying on the ground. I thought it could be valuable at first, like jewelry maybe. But once I got a closer look, I realized it was just an Easter egg. One of those plastic ones that pop open and usually have candy inside. I would have given it more attention, but just then I saw the bus appear down the road. I popped the egg into my pocket, then got ready to board. Getting off the bus, I began the last leg of my trip home, about a mile walk. If I cut through the nature preserve, I could shave off about 10 minutes. People mostly used it for dirt biking, but that was impossible at night without lights, so it was totally clear. Of course, that meant the whole stretch was dark as hell. No street lights, barely any moonlight thanks to the trees, and a whole lot of shit to trip over. I knew the route pretty well though, as this was probably my 100th time cutting through the woods. And yet, this was my first time I ever encountered another person on the trail. I spotted him about 2/3 of the way through, blocking my path. In the darkness, my eyes played tricks on me. It genuinely looked like a man crossed with a rabbit, but obviously that wasn't possible. It was Easter, so it had to be someone in a bunny costume. Yet, they were alone, stationary, and facing directly at me. I stopped in my tracks and stared, waiting for them to move. I couldn't tell what kind of person was under the costume, but the longer they stood there like that, the more I was sure they weren't right in the head. None of my options were good. I could either A, turn back and take the long way around, getting home almost an hour late, B, try to go around them and test my luck with parts of the woods I was unfamiliar with, or C, head straight for them and hope to slip by. I hated the thought of getting any closer to them, but in my mind, the best decision was the one that got me home the quickest. So, I took C. I began walking toward them again, though quite slowly, figuring they would eventually move out of the way. They didn't. Eventually, I got close enough to tell it was a man. The bunny costume he was wearing was far from a symbol of purity or innocence, but a dirty, ragged mess pulled from a pile of discarded junk. It was too late to turn back, though. I could see the whites of his eyes. He was staring at me. I knew he was probably going to follow me, and had probably planned to from the start. So I needed to be headed toward home, so I could get somewhere secure. But I was too scared. When I got about 20 feet from him, I couldn't force myself to go forward anymore. My legs locked up, outright refusing to go through with my plan. Now, I was just a weak toss away from this freak, only realizing in that moment he was holding his hands behind his back. Depending on what he was hiding, my fate was already sealed. He didn't look like the talking type, but it was my last chance of getting out alive. Hey, dude. I think Easter's over. You can, go home? Maybe change out of that costume, you know? Whoa, hey, stay back. Stranger danger, all right? You're kind of freaking me out. Oh, shit! No, please, no! Get away! Oh, thank God. The concept is loosely tied to the Bunny Man urban legend from Fairfax County, Virginia. In the original 1970s sighting, a man in a bunny suit reportedly threatened people with an axe, but modern horror films have evolved the weapon to a chainsaw for increased cinematic gore. After decades in Hollywood, I came to know more than my fair share of secrets. However, I knew better than to speak of it. Instead, I took the fortune I had amassed over the years, and I ran. I withdrew from society, retired from acting, and focused my energy on more interpretive arts, like painting. Of course, I'm only human. It didn't take too long for me to get the itch, the burning desire to get back to work, and hiding beneath that, the urge to expose all the monsters in this godforsaken industry for what they are. Just to be safe, I told myself I would only work, not speak out. I should have known better. As soon as I dipped my toe back into the world of Hollywood, I was inundated with all the evils I had tried so hard to forget. To make matters worse, I was too talented for my own good. What I thought was a quaint little indie side project turned out to be a hit. It wasn't exactly Oscar levels, but it still landed me on the red carpet of a widely viewed awards ceremony. For the naive, self-destructive activist hiding in me, it was a platform. I can't take back any of what I said, but I wish I hadn't put it all on blast like that. Maybe I would have been treated with a little more mercy afterwards. It felt so good while I was saying it, but once my outburst was finished, I knew I was too. Quickly crawling out of the woodwork, a team of handlers, bodyguards, and damage control journalists descended upon my location. I was escorted in plain sight, like some sort of criminal or madman. Once outside, I was pushed into a blacked-out limousine, different from the one I arrived in. I was being detained by a force far more powerful than any police department. Inside the limo, I was alone. I knew the doors would not open from the inside, so I didn't even try. I wondered how they would do it. Would the cabin suddenly fill with toxic gas? Was this some self-driving limo about to fling me off a cliff? Their solution was shockingly old school. As we moved through traffic, the divider window rolled down. Without looking back, the driver pointed something over his shoulder, a pistol, and with calm laser precision, he pulled the trigger and shot me. It wasn't a bullet though. The moment before I blacked out, I could vaguely see the dart sticking out of my neck. I knew then that I wasn't getting the easy way. I awoke strapped to a chair in a dark, featureless room. No matter how hard I strained, I couldn't see a damn thing. For a moment, I was sure they had blinded me permanently. But then, the darkness cracked open with blinding light. A door had opened, just for a few seconds, long enough to let someone in before closing it again. All I could see of them was a floating, bouncing light. It was blinding, too. some kind of headlamp that let them see me but kept me from getting a good look at them. Soon they spoke, yet I was too delirious to understand, let alone answer. The tranquilizer was still affecting me. As I came to find out, however, it did not offer any relief of pain. When I could not answer them, the torture began. I was never able to see any of it coming, but I could feel it all. The electric shocks, frying every nerve in my body, the pulling of nails and teeth, the stripping of flesh, every bit of which I was forced to eat, the only nourishment I was allowed, simply enough to keep me alive for more suffering. I was drowned, strangled, and poisoned, until I could no longer sense time, merely pain. I didn't know how much time had passed. It would torture me until I passed out. Then I would wake up in the middle of the next session of torment. Finally, after endless, excruciating agony, the room was filled with soft light, and I saw a human face for the first time. It was my face, almost like an identical twin that had been shielded from sun and wind his whole life, but still the same as me in every other way. I never thought they were capable of this. In my final moments, they revealed the extent of their capabilities. They are truly unbeatable. I don't understand. Who is this? It's you, Jim. You cloned me? How? We've been working on this for a long time. No, the public, they won't believe this thing is actually me. They'll know something is up. You regularly disappear from the public eye for months, even years. That's plenty of time for someone to change. Perhaps get plastic surgery, or even reverse their disposition entirely. This more obedient version of Mr. Carey will continue where you left off. That is, of course, once you're disposed of. Mr. Carey, you may do the honors. No, stay away from me! Don't touch me! No! It's just so wonderful to be back here again. Life is all I could ever ask for, and the privilege to make art on top of that is a dream come true. I love everyone.
It all started on April Fool's Day. All my friends were hanging out in my living room, trying to come up with the best April Fool's jokes we could pull to make ourselves laugh. I eventually got everyone on the same page about prank calls. They were the easiest, funniest thing we could do without even going outside. At first, we had the lowest hanging fruit, our gullible moms and clueless dads. When we exhausted that resource, we moved on to our old friends that fell off after high school. Then, only the riskiest marks remained. Bitchy girls, bosses, and professors. Everyone we mentioned got prank called somehow, until I mentioned the doctor, Dr. Mosley, the oldest primary physician in town, and everybody knew he was a total dick. How he still had his license, nobody knew. His anger issues were severe and widely known. He was the best access to medical care within a considerable distance, so you did not want to get on his bad side. Perhaps for that reason, none of my friends had the balls to prank call the doctor, but I had no problem doing so.
You've reached the office of Dr. Mosley. Would you like to schedule an appointment?
Please, you gotta help me. Send the doctor over here quick.
Sir, if this is an emergency, hang up and dial 911.
No, I can't wait for an ambulance. I'll die before I get to the hospital. Please!
You know the doctor doesn't make house calls.
Come on, you gotta make an exception. I'm dying here.
Of what?
Well, I slipped and fell and accidentally, a meat tenderizer got stuck up my ass.
Okay, and what's the address for the doctor?
It's 267 Chutling Avenue. Please, hurry. I can feel it tenderizing me. It's a far-ass address. Dude, I can't. He sounded so pissed.
After that, it was only a matter of time before the doctor ran out of his office in a hurry to save a life, right until he realized it was all a lie. Then, about an hour or two later, he called back.
Hello? You sack of shit! Do you think what I do is a joke? I save lives!
But I know how to take them too. I'm gonna find out who you are and strangle you with your own intestines. You're gonna regret wasting my time, you fucking bitch. You hear me? You hear me?
Holy shit! That's the best one! That's the best one!
It was really the best laugh I had in a long time, but that was only because we weren't taking anything he said seriously. A little while later, my friends all left. They had to go to bed at a reasonable time for class in the morning, but I was planning to stay up late and play video games for a while. It didn't take long for my phone to start blowing up. I expected that to happen, so I ignored it. Except 2 hours later, it was still ringing non-stop. Not a single other person we had prank called stayed mad for more than a few minutes, but the doctor was not giving up. I was starting to get a bit worried, honestly, so I finally answered.
Yo, Doc, chill. It was just an April Fool's prank. Don't sweat it.
So then you won't mind that I'm standing outside your apartment, Tom Rogers.
Suddenly, I realized the severity of the mistake I made. It was still April 1st, so maybe he was just pranking me back. I looked out my window and didn't see him in the parking lot. Then I went to my door and checked through the peephole. No sign of him there either. That was a bit of a relief, but I still wanted to make sure. I quietly unlocked and opened my door, then poked my head out into the hall. Then, a figure came into focus. At the far end of the hall, the doctor stood with a knife in his hand. As soon as I saw him, he bolted towards me. I ducked back into my apartment, then slammed the door shut. I locked it and leapt away as I listened to his footsteps booming down the hall until they stopped right in front of my door. Despite the overwhelming fear, I was curious enough to look through the peephole. He was smiling in the worst way, but it looked like he was finally finding joy in becoming a nightmare of a human being. I had to get him to go away. I didn't know what to say, but I had to do something. Without warning, he started breaking through the door. He was unstoppable. He smashed through it in a rage like nothing I'd ever seen. I screamed for help, scrambled for my phone to call the police. But by the time I looked back, he was already inside, and I had backed myself into a corner.
Please, please don't do this. I'm sorry. I'll never do it again. I'll do anything you want. Anything!
This April Fool's story was inspired by a case known as the Dr. Mosley stabbing that happened in 1886. A prankster named Tom Rogers of Kaufman, Texas, played a joke on Dr. Mosley. He left a message for the doctor to go out to the country a distance of 3 miles to see a critically ill young lady. Dr. Mosley rode his trusted steed to the destination and discovered that it was merely a hoax. The doctor was not amused. In fact, he was fully enraged. Discerning that Rogers was the culprit, Dr. Mosley found Rogers and mercilessly attacked him with a knife. He stabbed Rogers in the body, neck, and face, and continued until several fatal wounds had been inflicted.
Working at the Krusty Krab has to be the best job ever. I love being a part of the great restaurant in Bikini Bottom, filling bellies and putting smiles on people's faces. We run a pretty tight ship here. We all have our roles and we fill them with years of expertise. Mistakes simply aren't allowed. The Krusty Krab has a reputation to uphold, and if word gets out that we have bad customer service or that we mess up orders, then...
Hello? Excuse me? I didn't get any pickles on my Krabby Patty. What was that? Pickles. What about pickles? I ordered pickles on my Krabby Patty and didn't get any. That's terrible. I'm sorry, sir. My mistake. It won't happen again. Here, just give me that, then sit tight and I'll remake your order free of charge. Don't bother. I have to get back to work. Just give me a refund or I'll be late. I see. Then my associate Squidward will take care of you. What? Hey, come back! Hello? Is anybody going to give me a refund? Fine, I don't have time for this. This is the 10th time this has happened in the last month.
Now, what was I saying? Oh, right. Complainers like that ungrateful fellow are few and far between. Most people know better to challenge our authority on who's the best burger joint in town. For instance, it's been 2 weeks since that guy came through, and he hasn't been here since. Normal businesses might have to worry about a soured customer like that going around and spreading negative reviews, but not here. We have our own way of doing things that keeps our word of mouth strictly positive. I can't say how we do it, though. That's a company secret. You want to know who's about to find out? A tubby, smelly creature by the silly name of Bubble Bass. He had the nerve to complain not just once, but nearly a dozen times. Always the same complaint. Wah, where are my pickles? I ordered pickles. Wah, wah. That shit was driving me insane. The most maddening part is just how easy it is to make sure a burger's got pickles on it. Just put them on. Don't have to cook them or spread them or nothing. Bubble Bass was getting his sick kicks out of tormenting us, and we could tell. He wasn't even giving us an honest complaint. He was fabricating it, hiding the pickles under his tongue. I tell you, with the way he maneuvers that tongue of his through the sandwich to remove the pickles without disturbing anything else and without us even noticing at first, man, that guy must be a god-tier clam licker. Once we figured him out, we shamed him in front of the entire restaurant. We made an example of him, made him run home crying like the little bitch he is. After he left, Mr. Krabs and I celebrated in the kitchen. Not only did we figure out Bubble Bass's little game, not only did we once again show everyone that we are the undisputed champions of artery-clogging deliciousness, but we found ourselves our newest target. You see, to maintain our spotless reputation here at the Krusty Krab, we've created something of a... no, what do they call it, Rock Bottom? Oh yes, a mafia. To keep reviews up, we silence the dissenters, but we don't just stop there. No, the Krusty Krab is all about sustainability. Reduce, reuse, recycle, and all that goodness. If a customer won't make themselves useful by spreading the good word about our quality product and service, then they may as well surrender to the other ways in which we have learned to extract value from them. We've already shown exactly how it happens. That previous fish with the complaint about a lack of pickles, well, he didn't come back, did he? Wrong. He came back, just not in the way anyone would expect. In fact, he was a key component in each and every one of the Krabby Patties that Bubble Bass ate. It's only fair if Bubble Bass pays it forward.
Where am I? Who are you people? Whoever you are, you better let me go right this instant.
Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs?
Aye, me boy. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Wait, I know that voice.
Let's be correct. It is I, the proprietor of the business ye have sought to slander.
And I, the star employee.
You people are crazy. Untie me.
Oh, quit running your mouth already. Sponge, show Mr. Bass his prom date.
What? I never went to prom.
You ever French kiss a meat grinder before, lad?
No, nope.
Clench your jaw all you want. Me claws are stronger. Go ahead, boy. Do the honors.
With pleasure, Krabs.
Every Easter, I remembered the day I let the heart of our family slip through my fingers. I was just a kid back then. My sister was 10. We fought a lot over stupid things, but our parents knew they could trust us to look out for each other. They would leave us home alone, and we would even walk around the neighborhood by ourselves. I guess living in a small town made everything feel safer. Of course, that was all about to change. On Easter Sunday, my family went to church for an extended service. There was a big potluck and an Easter egg hunt planned after. For a whole week leading up to Easter, my sister had been asking our parents if she could hide the eggs. I was enlisted to go with. It just didn't feel right to send a little kid outside on their own. But somehow, Sending 2 little kids made it all better. Admittedly, I was kind of stoked. It didn't take long for my sister and I to start fighting over who got how many eggs. We were looking high and low for the best hiding places, of which there were a few, but we weren't paying attention to anything else. After all, nobody was around. And then, at the same exact time, my sister and I stopped dead in our tracks. One of the cars was moving, slowly creeping through the parking lot. A large black SUV headed right for us. As naive kids, our first thought was that somebody was trying to cheat at the egg hunt. My sister clutched the basket to her chest, and I stood in front of her, as if to somehow conceal the location of the last one we hid, or how many were left. Within seconds, the SUV was almost on top of us. Then it lurched back before becoming motionless. A moment later, the door opened, and a balding man in a blue shirt stepped out. He didn't step out fully though. He stood on the lower frame of the car and leaned out, holding onto the door for support. There was a smile on his face, but with way too much sweat beating down for the weather that day, neither of us could understand exactly what he wanted, even as he started to speak.
Hey, kiddos. What are you two doing out here?
We're hiding Easter eggs? What does it look like?
Yeah, go away. You're cheating. No one is supposed to know where they are.
Oh, I'm not participating in the hunt, but, you know, I could help you hide them.
Really?
Sure. Somewhere nobody will find them. Then everybody will remember you as the best egg hider in history.
Yeah, right. How is that even possible?
Just lay a couple in my car, then I'll drive away. If you don't tell no one I was here, people will think they just vanished.
Well, okay. Maybe just one.
What? Sis, wait!
Suddenly, my sister took an egg out of the basket into her hand, then started walking around to the side of the SUV. The man stayed half in, half out, holding onto the inside by the handle and holding his other hand out toward my sister. She didn't realize what she was doing. I ran after her, but right as I yelled at her to stop, the man grabbed her by the arm and yanked her into the car. She flew past him into the passenger side. I panicked and kept running right toward the man. I was thinking I could fight him or stop him, but out of nowhere, he raised his leg and kicked me square in the face. I got knocked back right to the ground. The double impact took the wind out of me. I struggled to get up, to even catch my breath. I tried to scream for help, but the only noise that came out was a pitiful groan. When I looked back up, I saw the SUV speeding off, churning up the grass as it was about to get on the driveway and disappear. In that moment, I was thinking I had just let my sister get taken. I started to cry, just as the devil seemed to win. A miracle happened. I squeezed the tears out of my eyes right in time to see it. The door opened again, and this time, my sister tumbled out. She rolled a dozen times across the grass, taking a hard hit, but the SUV didn't come back for her. The man inside kept going, trying to get away from what he had done. At last, I could stand, and I ran straight to her. She was just getting to her feet as well, with just some bumps and scrapes, but she had too much adrenaline to start crying. She was frantically telling me how the other door was locked, so she had to crawl across the man's lap to jump out of the driver's side. He must have not expected it, or perhaps something about that distracted him. Either way, she made it out, and soon, the congregation came out after hearing the noise. The man was later caught and arrested, but the whole town was shaken by what happened. They kept telling my sister how brave she was. I'm grateful she's okay, but I felt worthless. I wasn't brave enough, quick enough, or smart enough to save her. She had to save herself. Every Easter, I think if I couldn't save a little girl, I'm not capable of saving anyone. In April 2010, a 10-year-old girl narrowly escaped an attempted abduction during an Easter egg hunt at a church in Montgomery, Alabama. The girl and her brother were outside hiding Easter eggs on Easter Sunday morning when a man in a black SUV approached them. The man pushed the boy to the ground and forced the 10-year-old girl into his vehicle. The girl managed to jump from the SUV as it was speeding away, potentially as the suspect moved from the passenger side to the driver's side. Police searched for a white male in his late 30s or early 40s with a bald spot on the top of his head, who was seen wearing a blue polo shirt and black pants. Surveillance video from the church helped identify the suspect as James Scott Carringer, who was later taken into custody in Georgia. The incident caused significant alarm in the community, with parents and church members emphasizing the need for tighter security during public events.
Alrighty then. No, that's terrible. Riddle me this, Batsy. Damn it, no! That's even worse. Does he even say it like that? Come on, these are your roles, Jim. Can't you remember them?
Yes. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. I'm an idiot. You're an idiot.
What's going on? Who's there? All these years, all these voices in my head, and so few of them mine. Well, that's the burden of being the best, I guess. Good thing I have these. Perfect. It's a hoot to be me. Jim Carrey. All the money, fame, and acting prowess a mortal man could possibly possess. And yet, these people, they don't believe me. Everything was fine. Just fine. Then I went to some fruity French award ceremony and now my life is in shambles because of some stupid interview. Everyone keeps saying,
Oh, that's not Jim Carrey. He must have had a bunch of awful work done. It has to be a body double.
No, you mouth-breathing troglodytes! That's me! How dare you not recognize me? I'm Ace Ventura, the cable guy. For the love of God, I'm Truman Burbank. You know, from The Truman Show? Only one of the greatest cinematic works of our time, and I'm the star! So what if I let myself go a little bit? Bruce Almighty himself forbid a successful man to laze around his own super mansion. I may be an elite, but don't we all like to sit around in our underwear and cram our bellies full of junk food? I sure do. I'm doing it right now.
I know it fattens your face, but isn't that what Ozempic is all about?
But just because I haven't maintained myself to be exactly what people expect of me, suddenly I'm a fraud, a fake, an insult. And frankly, the reaction from the public has made me sick to my stomach. After all the work I've done to entertain these ungrateful morons, they turn on me. Just like that. Every single person commenting on every single video I see, saying the same thing. I am not me. There can be no greater disrespect. Someone must pay. No, they all must pay. Everyone who thinks I'm a liar. I'll hunt them all down and show them the truth. But where to start? There must be thousands of those heathens. I can't kill them all, but maybe I don't need to. I just need to take it to the source, to the ones who started this whole disaster. Those damn reporters. I knew they were just after me to find something shocking, especially her. She knew I hadn't been around in a while. Probably figured she could get lots of clicks by claiming that I'd been replaced by some half-assed fake. She might have been right, but it'll be her last mistake. I'll go under deep cover, follow her, stalk her, record every detail of her routine, stake out her home until I find out when she's perfectly alone. And with how frail and dainty the French like their women, it'll be easy. She sure was pretty, but she had to die. I found there was nothing beneath that thin veneer of her porcelain face. Nothing but flesh and bone. No character whatsoever. I still took it with me as a souvenir, but I must admit, it wasn't my best work. Despite botching the removal, it was nice to go home and wear her face over mine. It was a great reminder of the fact that some of us go a little deeper than face value. Some people have layers. Some are just a bit more complicated than others. What do you think? Should we go down one more layer? Ugh, figures. But hey, it gives me an idea. Good morning! Shh. It's okay. I know the truth now. There is only one true Jim Carrey. Indeed. So, I need to borrow your face. Relax. You can have it back later.
Don't forget the casserole. Okay, all right.
Yvonne! I'm here, sweetie! Yvonne! I brought casserole! My hands are full! Preston? It's Grandma! I'm here to take you to school! Could you open the door for me?
Jeez, what's going on with them? Come on, I just had them. There.
Hello? Anyone home?
Well, they must be out. Guess I'll wait inside. Just grab this. Okay. Preston? I didn't see you there. Why didn't you answer the door? Preston, where is your mother?
Kitchen.
Oh, all right. Well, let me go talk to her and then I'll take you to school. All right?
Backyard.
What was that? Well, which is it? Is she in the kitchen or is she in the backyard? Preston, use your words.
Kitchen, backyard, kitchen, backyard, kitchen, backyard, kitchen, backyard!
What the hell is with him?
Yvonne, you mind telling me what's wrong with my grandson? He's acting like a...
That was the day I found my daughter. Dead, murdered, decapitated. I ran outside, screaming for anybody to help me. I didn't know it would draw such a crowd. I didn't think people would be more interested in gawking at my daughter's dead body and her severed head than they would actually be willing to do anything about it. My daughter's house became the center of attention for the entire town. Police, investigators, neighbors, onlookers. Hell, even dogs went traipsing through the crime scene. Nobody was prepared to do what they were supposed to do. It was like an exhibit with no entry fee. And poor Preston, he didn't understand any of what was happening. He never could have done something like that. He couldn't possibly imagine it. This was the work of a sick individual, a monster of the most vile order. I didn't, and frankly, I still don't know of a single person alive who could be capable of something so terrible. The police, however, had a singular candidate. Yvonne's ex-boyfriend, David, Preston's father. I was never happy about how they had Preston without ever getting married, but I always gave David credit for being involved and supportive when he found out the child was his. But that day, my opinion changed. My image of him as a reluctant yet loving father was destroyed, replaced by a disgusting, unforgivable demon who used my daughter for his own sick pleasures, then killed her to get out of dealing with the consequences of bringing a child into this world. Had I been given final say, he would have hanged, but I had to settle for him being in prison for the rest of his life. That would have to be good enough, a basis from which I could begin to grieve, process, and eventually try my best to move on. Then as the years passed, hindsight made things clear. The reality of the situation wasn't as clear-cut as it seemed at the time. The investigation, the autopsy, the trial, it was all completely botched. The cops didn't bother to gather any evidence, and what evidence there might have been, they destroyed with their carelessness. The medical examiner was a forgetful, lazy dope, and the lawyers on both sides of the aisle were so drunk or stupid, they couldn't tell their own asses apart. No fingerprints, no DNA, no eyewitnesses, no logic to be found anywhere. Yet the police were convinced from the very beginning that David had committed the crime, and nothing got in the way of getting the conviction they wanted, not even the truth. They abandoned reason for prejudice. They forsook justice for false closure. Now, I don't even know who truly killed my daughter, and it may very well be the case that an innocent man has taken the blame for the last 20 years. On April Fool's Day of 1999, a woman named Yvonne was found dead in her home by her mother. Her throat had been cut while her young children were present in the house, though they were not physically harmed. The initial investigation was heavily criticized for poor crime scene management, including allegations that officers did not wear protective gear and stepped over evidence. The case centered on David Thorne, Yvonne's ex-boyfriend and the father of one of her children. David was eventually convicted in 2000 of hiring a friend to kill Yvonne and sentenced to life without parole. He's maintained his innocence for over 2 decades. Joe Wilkes, a friend of Thorne who confessed to the murder, claiming Thorne paid him to do it, was sentenced to 30 years to life.
Bubble Bass. That stupid double-chinned fat ass. Who gave him the right to ruin my life? I spent years becoming the best fry cook this sorry town has ever seen, just for Bubble Bass to squeeze through the door and make me look like a hack? I can still hear his grating voice in my head.
I'll take a double, triple Bossy Deluxe on a raft, 4x4 animal style, extra shingles with a shimmy and a squeeze, light axle grease, make it cry, burn it, and let it swim, swim, swim.
What a pretentious bottom feeder. Was he just trying to screw me from the start? The wannabe foodie pulled out every secret order lingo in the book, with no care whatsoever as to how any of those things go together. Light butter, extra onions, extra pickles, fried in mustard, blah, blah. Sure, that all sounds fine, but then had the audacity to double the order, triple it, then asked me to stack 4 of the bitches on top of each other. Ridiculous! Yet, I'm no slouch. I know my craft. Orders like these are opportunities, with a few interpretive adjustments. Luckily for him, it only took me 10 minutes to assemble a piece of perfection translated from his impossible order. I was honestly a bit nervous about how he would react to some of the changes I made, but I was confident that everything that mattered was there. Of course, Bubble Bass only cared about one thing.
Excuse me. I ordered extra pickles, but I appear to have received 0 pickles. I must speak to the owner of the establishment to inform them that their kitchen staff is incompetent.
And just like that, I had Mr. Krabs riding my ass. He comped the first sandwich, then ordered me to make it all over again. Correctly this time. As if I didn't do it right to begin with. Maybe Squidward dropped the pickles on the way to the table. Like always. Failing to do the simplest things without screwing them up. And Mr. Krabs, the ignorant slaver. He was breathing down my neck the whole time I made the second order. Could he not see with his own 2 dick-shaped eyes that I put pickles on the sandwich? Apparently not. Just goes to show how much attention he really pays around here. Like that cheap bastard ever paid for anything at all. I'm the only one who takes the heat around here. This time was no different.
Once again, no pickles.
Ye better get the gentleman's order right this time, boy.
3rd time's the charm, right? No! I made it again and again! Every single time, the same answer.
No pickles, no pickles, no pickles!
Hours later, I had burned through damn near every scrap of food, putting every single pickle we had into his sandwiches, but he kept taking bites and coming up without them. And instead of tossing this fat lard out, who was clearly scamming us for free food, for whatever reason, Mr. Krabs would rather suck the barnacles out of Bubble Bass's gills than take the word of his best employee. At the end of the day, I couldn't take it anymore. I served up 1 more sandwich, and if Bubble Bass didn't like it, I was going to force it down his throat.
For the last time, how hard is it to give me pickles?
Bubble Bass! Eat it! It's full of pickles, just like you! Eat it! Eat it! Eat it!
SquarePants!
Let me at him, Mr. Krabs! He's a liar!
No, Mr. SquarePants. It's over. I can't have ye assaulting the customers. Go home. You're fired.
Fired? He finally did it. After everything we've been through, after everything I've done for him, Mr. Krabs fired me. I packed my things and dragged myself home. I swear to Neptune, to Poseidon too, if he's real, that I put pickles, extra pickles, on every sandwich. But maybe there is something wrong with me. Have I gone pickle blind? Am I damaged in the head? I guess I can't do anything right. Fry cooking was all I knew. Without my job at the Krusty Krab, the only way I'll be able to make enough money to survive is by selling my holes in rock bottom. I think I would honestly rather die. I might as well take a walk to Sandy's house without water.
State your business.
It's done. I did what you asked. I tricked Mr. Krabs into firing his best employee.
Wonderful! I've been trying for years. How did you do it?
I made sure SpongeBob became incapable of placing pickles on the Krabby Patties.
And what became of the pickles?
Ah, what are you doing?
Wait, Karen, you're watching a master at work.
Oh, that's disgusting.
No, that's victory!
I'm all for using humor to pass the time, but there is a line that should never be crossed. Unfortunately, some people can't tell where that line is. I've been working at Waffle House for years. I work the overnight shift, where it's usually just 2 people, me behind the grill, and 1 server. The server I work with most is this crazy bitch Dawn. Like me, she's had some run-ins with the law before, though where I have tried to put my mistakes behind me, Dawn has retained the knack for mischief that gets her into trouble. Dawn is a nasty nutcase. She yells and threatens customers for the smallest mistakes. She even comes after me when I don't do things her way. And then there's Dawn's idea of jokes, like flinging dead rats at me, randomly spitting on me, and telling female customers to stay away from me because I'm a registered sex offender, which by the way, I'm not. With everything she's done, I've grown to truly despise Dawn, and sometimes even fear her. I can put up with her most of the time, but she has nights where she is especially manic. This last April Fool's Day was one of those nights. From the start, I could tell something was up with her. She wouldn't stop fidgeting, mumbling, and talking about how this was going to be the best April Fool's Day ever. She was just trying to have a normal shift, but she seemed hell-bent on literally destroying the building. She kept telling me to dump ice into the deep fryer, rip the breakers out, and cross the wires to start a fire, stuff like that. At some point, when there were no customers around, she disappeared into the back. I stayed up front, not wanting to be out of sight with her. I poured myself a soda, but it was more out of boredom than thirst. I took a few sips, then set it down. I hadn't asked her, but I was wondering what she was doing in there, until a few minutes later. I smelled something burning. Immediately, I rushed through the back to look for her. I only had to follow the smoke. I found her in the supply closet, huddled over an entire pallet of napkins that was engulfed in flames.
Dawn, what the hell are you doing?
April Fool!
Get away from that!
I acted quickly, grabbing a fire extinguisher and dousing the flames before they got out of control. Dawn started screaming at me as the room filled with smoke and icy, suffocating vapors. As she continued berating me, I ignored her and went outside for a cigarette. When I went back in, I fully expected to be attacked and screamed at, but oddly, she didn't say a word. She just looked at me using those crazy eyes of hers, with a wide, rotten smile on her face. I thought maybe the fire was enough for her. Maybe she scratched her itch for the night. Not long after, some customers came in. Once they ordered their food, I started whipping it up at the grill. As always, the heat made me thirsty, so before I knew it, I had finished up the drink I poured myself before the whole fire fiasco. Soon, another table sat down, then another. All of a sudden, we were having a rush. I was making order after order, sweating my ass off. Out of nowhere, an insane hobo rushed into the store. Before I could even react, he started screaming a bunch of gibberish. I tried to get him to leave, but it only made him target me. He leapt over the counter and tried to tackle me. I dodged just in time, but then he grabbed the back of my shirt and poured something down it. It felt like ants. No, spiders, crawling and biting and burrowing their way into my spine. I started screaming for help, but nobody came. I turned back to face the hobo, just for him to be gone and replaced with Dawn. She stood over me and started laughing. She was like a witch or a demon. I could no longer move. She reached her hands down towards my face. As this beating sound became so loud it was deafening. It was like a horde of moaning zombies banging on the windows, trying to get in. But I couldn't see anything but Dawn's hands reaching into my chest and ripping out my heart. That's not the last thing I remember, but it's the last thing I can bring myself to mention. I felt like I was in hell for an eternity, constantly tortured and tormented, trapped in an ever-changing nightmare with Dawn as my only companion and no hope to escape. After what felt like forever, I finally woke up. I was in the hospital, hooked up to thousands of machines. The doctor said I had been in a coma for months with a massive overdose of methamphetamine that should have absolutely killed me. By the time I was conscious, they had already figured out who did it. Dawn. After the incident with the fire, they caught her on camera lacing my drink with a white powder while I was smoking. She claimed it was just an April Fool's joke, something to get me to lighten up. I'm lucky to be alive, but the drugs have permanently altered my mind and body in ways I may never fully recover from. At least Dawn got what she always wanted, to spend the rest of her short, miserable, depressing life in prison. This April Fool's story was inspired by a waitress who has been arrested on charges that she spiked a co-worker's drink with methamphetamine during their late-night shift at a Waffle House in northern Georgia, causing the drugged man to be hospitalized in a comatose state. Investigators spent nearly 2 months collecting evidence and interviewing witnesses before they arrested a 43-year-old woman named Sansaria Dawn Evans. She remained jailed Thursday on charges of illegal drug possession and aggravated battery. Evans' 37-year-old co-worker remains unnamed, but was mentioned that the man is still battling to recover from a drug overdose that left him critically ill for weeks after he collapsed at the restaurant. Waffle House's corporate office shared restaurant surveillance video with the investigators, which showed Evans picking up the co-worker's cup when he stepped outside for a break, then taking the cup toward the bathroom. She returned and set the drink down before her co-worker came back inside. The video showed the man drink from the cup, and within an hour, he's getting medical attention.
Being a UPS delivery driver totally sucks. I always thought by the time I turned 30, I'd have quit this job and done something with myself. Ironically, the most interesting thing that ever happened in my life was on a random Thursday delivering packages. It was like any other day. Hot, humid, busy, and miserable. Then, as I was returning to my truck from dropping a package off the doorstep of a house, I saw a strange man running toward me. He was thin, overdressed for the heat in an ill-fitting suit, soaked in sweat, and holding a brown leather briefcase. Nobody else was around, so I knew he was coming to me. I made it to the truck, but did the courtesy of waiting for him instead of driving off like I easily could have. I expected him to ask about a late or misdelivered package, but instead, he shoved his briefcase at me and began begging me to deliver it.
Come on, man, take it.
Dude, if you want to deliver something, you gotta take it to a UPS store. There's one not far from here.
No, this can't go through the system.
Side note, we also prohibit illicit substances.
It's not illegal, I swear. It's just too precious to be trusted with your superiors. It needs an express, off-the-books delivery. Then you'll never have to worry about it again.
You know I could get fired for doing something like that.
Okay, name your price.
After a ton of pushing, I finally went against my better judgment and accepted the briefcase. He wanted it delivered way off route, and thanks to GPS tracking, I knew I'd be caught and probably lose my job. But for the pay he was offering, he gave me $10,000 in cash, promising the person expecting the delivery would double that amount. The money felt and smelled real, and even if it were counterfeit, I could think of plenty of ways to use it until I found a better gig. Already dreaming of my life no longer slaving away for UPS, I waved goodbye to the skinny, sweaty stranger and made my way to the address. I was in a nice part of town, which boded well for things, or so I thought. Of course, I had to stop at a number of red lights along the way, and I couldn't help but get curious. What was in this case that was so valuable to these people? The guy never said anything about not peeking, so I fancied myself a glance. Inside, however, was nothing more than a weird green rubber mask. It looked pretty plain to me, not quite a goblin, almost more of a facial prosthetic, though I closed up the case and tried not to think much of it. At the address, I hopped out of the truck with a smile on my face and that mysterious briefcase in hand. I marched up to the door, rang the bell, and waited to see the guy who was going to give me the other 10 grand I was promised. When he opened the door, I was struck by the feeling that he was very familiar. He was equally as deranged as the weirdo who gave me the briefcase, maybe even more so. His face was freakishly angular and jagged. I thought maybe the mask was supposed to cover up his less appealing features, but I snapped myself back into focus. Acting like this was a regular old delivery, I asked for a signature to confirm it, then gave him a subtle wink to remind him that I was due some extra payment. Unsurprisingly, the man took the case, but then made it clear I had some more hoops to jump through before I got my reward. This guy wasn't as comfortable with handing out wads of cash in broad daylight as the last guy, which was a reality I had to accept. Stepping into his house, I was suddenly surrounded by an enormous collection of the most disturbing memorabilia. This guy definitely had money, along with the eccentric taste to blow it on. The last thing he had to do before giving me my money was to confirm the authenticity of the item delivered, which he didn't explain how he would accomplish, but I just smiled and nodded, then waited patiently as he set the briefcase down on a table and opened it.
Yes, it's perfect. Perfect.
Is it exactly what you were expecting, sir?
Oh, it sure is. You want to see me put it on?
Actually, if it's alright with you, I think I'd rather just get my money and head out. But if you insist, I guess I could...
Oh my god, what the hell are you?
As I stood around, running my mouth like an idiot, he put on the mask. Whatever that thing was, it wasn't natural. As soon as it was on his face, it started to fuse with him, consuming him, turning him into something else, a monster. His head morphed into a figure straight out of a nightmare. Then, his eyes locked on me, and with a gaping jaw snapping open, he lunged. I jumped back and ran for the door, but he sprinted past me at an inhuman speed and blocked me in. He was toying with me. I was trapped. I ran the other direction as fast as I could, frantically looking for somewhere to hide. I found a random bathroom and locked myself inside. I knew it wouldn't take him long to break through with the demonic strength that mask must have given him. So I went for the window and tried to climb out.
Look at me, delivery boy!
I never stood a chance once he put on the mask.